Musselburgh last time in a small field. How will he get on in the hustle and bustle of the Triumph Hurdle?
Duty looks a most professional little customer. We've seen him out on the morning gallops, being put through his paces. He's relaxed but alert in the paddock. He's a first Cheltenham runner for Kevin O'Brien. He's making great strides in Ireland. He's a definite player here. Slippers Madden replaces Davy Russell.
And financial reward, it's number 9. He's won 2 of his 6 starts over hurdles. He's been well beaten by Duty and just beaten by Convincing, so he needs to step up on that cheek piece for the first time.
Number 10 is Freeze the Flame, a forgotten horse rather, who got pretty close to Katchit as we saw here in November. He's been off since. He's 25-1. And Charles Edgerton is a past master at getting horses right after an absence, and he's got each way claims.
And 11 is Katchit. Well, surely a Triumph Hurdle winner can't start his hurdling career by winning at Market Rasen in September. This is what this one did. Beaten only once, thoroughly game and genuine, really good jumper, sure to be right in the firing line.
Donald Machin, first Cheltenham winner with Cloudy Lane earlier in the week. He runs Katchiturian here, who's a big outsider, but he's shown some talent on both his starts, and even if he's in the ruck today, he's bound to win races in the future.
Liberate, number 13, is a real player. Won at Hereford and Wincanton before failing to give weight to Poquelin in ground that was probably a little too soft for him. The ground has now come right for him. He's likely to be up there in the firing line right from the start.
Lightning Strike was pitched in against older horses on his hurdling debut for Venetia Williams, who paid 200,000 guineas for this horse after he was particularly useful in staying handicaps on the flat. He might be a maiden, but I wouldn't entirely rule him out. The stable had a winner with Edol first yesterday.
I would rule out, however, Lord Adonis, who's shown modest form in 5 starts, and last time was tailed off behind Punjabi at Kempton. First time blinkers are going to need to work a miracle.
Number 16 is one of the best looking horses in the field, and certainly the horse with the best pedigree. He's by Rahi. He's a half brother to Russian Rhythm. He's called Mabasha. He was a late developer on the flat for Sir Michael Stout, and he was bought relatively cheaply in the summer by Barry Hurley of Seasons Holidays. He's now with Charlie Mann, trotted up at Fotwell on his one and only hurdling start.
And now Mountain, one of the talking horses, 8th in last year's Derby, belated hurdling debut at Sandown at the start of last month. You saw the footage of it, managed to get home and earn his place in this field. Strictly on that form, he's got to find a lot more.
Number 18 is an interesting player here, Parra, who chased home Punjabi at Kempton last time. He looks more of a stayer than many in this field. Francois Duman has always thought highly of him. He has a strong hand in juvenile hurdlers this year, and this is his chosen representative. On his toes and quite headstrong in the paddock, he'll need to settle better through the race under his inexperienced rider.
Kwiat looked well in the paddock, number 19, and he made an impressive start to his hurdling campaign, 2 wins at Newbury and Sandown, but he came up against Katchit here in January and was readily held. Poquelin, in and out form so far, disappointing on his first start, then won a good race beating Parra and Co at Kempton over Christmas, and got too revved up ahead of the Adonis last time. He might just be a good ground horse who appreciates a strong gallop. He's got group winning form on the flat in France. He was an expensive purchase. 50-1 might be too big. And Punjabi, only a miler on the flat, but having come from the back of a strong pace at Ludlow, he then made all the running in soft ground at Kempton last time to dispel any stamina worries. Difficult to know exactly how good he is, but the trainer's a past master with this sort of horse.
22 is Givol, a filly, first of 3 fillies in the race. She's by Mansonian, the sire of Taranis, who won yesterday's at Ryanair. She's got plenty of experience, and that'll stand her in good stead, but you suspect on the balance of her form she might not be quite good enough, and she might want softer ground. And the favourite, Linnaeus, Irish Zarovitz winner, beat big fields to start off her hurdling campaign, and the case really rests on her 4th in the AIG. If you can believe that, she is definitely the one to beat. Alan King was right not to dismiss his apparent second string My Petra. She gets the fillies allowance in common with Givol and Linnaeus, and it might just be that she didn't appreciate the very gluey conditions last time at Kempton. She's had a break, she's fresh, and she looks good in her coat.
And there's Barry Geraghty just on board Linnaeus now and about to go down to the start for the JCB Triumph Hurdle. Currently on the exchanges, just a little bit shorter than 5-1, 7-2 on course. However, Katchit 11-2, Degas Art It's 15-2. It's 8-1 about Manton, who's 9's on the exchanges. Punjabi is a 9-1 shot. 10-1 Duty, Liberate 12s. Money for Al Carbs, quite impressive last time in Ireland. 20s from 25s. Poyak 22-1. 33s on Betfair and BetDAC at the moment. Freeze the Flame 25s. Lightning Strike, likewise, that is a 25-1 shot.
Lunaeos, filly, one of 3 in the race, and mares have done really well in graded company this season. And she is a runner for Owen Griffin's Irish stable. She was very useful on the flat. Would you say the best of these on the flat, Jonathan?
I'm not sure she'd be as good as Dago Art, but she won an Irish Irish beating Alela, who has run well in champion hurdles. And she's, good form, impressive wins of standard novice hurdles, and then pitched in the AIG, getting a lot of weight, but ran with a great deal of credit to finish 4th.
We're having a look, however, at Katchit, the tough terrier-like individual that has proved a real star this season. No reason to suspect he won't run his race again. But for me, if he runs to his form, then he finds 1 or 2 too good. If he improves for better ground, then he can win.
It was good ground when he made his debut, admittedly in a smallish race at Market Raisin, but he appeared to relish it that day. I think he's just effective on any types of ground. It just doesn't seem to faze him at all. You can say if he wins the race, it certainly wouldn't be as good as last year's renewal, but he would be a deserving winner.
Katchit, like Alanisi, he was no star on the flat. Indeed, on occasions he looked rather reluctant when he was trained by Mick Shannon, but Alan King has shown that he is more than an adroit handler, both of horses off the flat and those later developing jumping types. And My Way to Solzen, his brilliant Arkle winner earlier in the week, was a relatively cheap purchase by the standards of most French horses. He really has established himself, Alan King, as one of the finest among his profession this season. There's the filly Lunaeos. I thought she was coping with the preliminaries in just the manner you'd like. She was alert enough, but she was relaxed. And what she lacks in size compared to some of the others, she makes up for with a bit of scope, if that doesn't sound too much of a paradox, because she has a good, long, easy walk, and she's a powerful, well-muscled up back end.
Yes, and she managed to stay up with the pace in the AIG hurdle until between the last 2. I mean, she had anything but disgrace. She was getting a lot of weight from the likes of Hardy Eustace and Brave Inca, but if you take the figures from that strictly, that makes her the clear form choice.
And she was still available at a very big price for this race immediately after the AIG. She was still available at 8-1, but she's been backed pretty consistently since, and there's been no let-up, realistically. Next one we're going to have a look at is number 13, Liberate. Richard Johnson rides for Philip Hobbs. They had the 1-2 in the race last year with Detroit City and Farallon, both of whom ran on Tuesday, of course. This horse has form that ties in with a number of these. Poquelin, Katchit, et al.
Well, he definitely comes out best on the run at Kempton over Christmas. Prior to that, he looked pretty efficient winning 2 races in the autumn, and it was the ground that undid him at Kempton. So he should beat the horses that he ran against at Kempton over Christmas. The ground should be fine for him. That was the other slight worry about Lunaeos, whose herding form is all on very soft ground. You have to take it on trust. She'll reproduce the best of her form on what we expect to be virtually perfect ground.
Look at that.
Yeah.
6'6" would be an advantage. And even then, you might find a couple in your way. Absolutely packed to the rafters here on Toastport Gold Cup Day here at Cheltenham. Anticipation building all the time as runners mill around at the start. And there's the horse we've just been speaking about, number 13, Liberate. It'd be nice to have another look at Duty, who is the second Irish challenger behind Lunaeos. 9-1 from 10. I really like this horse. I've liked his attitude when I've seen him out in the mornings, Jonathan. He looks a professional. Yes, and his novice hurdle form matches up to Lunaeos. It's just Lunaeos' run in the Irish Champion Hurdle that sets her apart. But Duty's got excellent form. Was near 90 on the flat horse. And although, again, all the hurdling form, like any Irish contender here this year, has come on heavy ground, he was perfectly effective on good to firm on the flat. So you would have thought he's bound to run his race.
Ruby Walsh doesn't ride for Paul Nicholls here, incidentally. He's not riding Mcnae, he's riding Financial Reward for Willie Mullins. Not a horse we've given too much credence to, but the fact that Walsh is on this gives us a little tip in itself.
Perhaps, but he's got plenty to find with Duty, and he's only comes out about the same horse as Convincing, and it looks the second tier of form, doesn't it?
There he is, number 9, Ruby Walsh, hot favourite now to be leading jockey at the meeting. He has got the most tremendous book of rides today. Of course, Corto Star, but thereafter, Sancerre and Unin Poja, and it would be a big surprise if one of those didn't go very close to winning at the very least. It won't be too long, I don't think, before they're being called into some sort of order for this JCB Triumph Hurdle. Just final thoughts, John.
Well, bound to get plenty of pace. I'm pinning my hopes that Katchit will perhaps not win, but at least uphold his reputation and certainly finish in the first 3.
Money for Noel Meade's Alcarb, 25 into 20 to 1. Otherwise, it's as you were, really, in this market. Punjabi, bidding to give Nicky Henderson and Mick Fitzgerald a rather belated first winner of the week.
Yeah.
They've gone close several times, but yet to see the winner's enclosure. And this is a horse that I'm putting my hopes on, Punjabi. Here they come then for the Triumph Hurdle, race 1 on the final day of Cheltenham 2007. Here's your commentator, Mike Catamol.
Cheers, Nick. Walking in towards the tape, well, trotting in. Some of them are very keen to get on with this. Let's hope we get a first timer. We do. They're off and running. The JCB Triumph Hurdle underway, 2 miles and a furlong then. 8 flights. Degar Art has got away to a good start. Poyak on the inside as they take that first flight. The back of, a fall of Katchit at the back of the field. And the horse seems okay, so too indeed does Stephen Crane. Katchit crashing out at the first. So Degar Art will lead the Triumph Hurdle field up the hill with Poyak on his inside. Financial Reward is there as well. Just behind these leaders then, racing prominently, is Mountain. Mountain is there as well. Just on the heels of these leaders is Duty on the near side. Just behind them on the near side is Alcarb, followed then by Luneos and Katchit, who race together in the middle of the pack. Up the inside comes Givol and Parra. Punjabi is held up behind the leading group, took that in about 7th or 8th place. Liberate on the inside. There was a stumble there from Counting House up the inner, but survived it. Held up at this stage then as we look towards the back, the free sweating Crookhaven, and last of all is Lord Adonis then as they make their way up the hill. Degar Art in front for Financial Reward in 2nd place. Mountain Tony McCoy hugs the rail 3rd. Punjabi races prominently in 4th place with Duty on the outside 5. Luneos then follows with Alcarb on the outside. Katchit in that group as well. So too is Convincing. Givol hugs the inside as they head down the side of the course towards the 3 flights down the back straight. My Petra is held up with Paran on the inside. Mobasha is in the middle of that group as well. Lightning Strike is further out. Liberate gets a nice sight at the hurdle as Degar Art flattened that particular flight, but he still has the lead as they continue their way down towards the 4th. So Degar Art still in front, but Financial Reward pestering him for the lead as they cross the middle flight down the side there. Then just in 3rd is Mountain, travelling very strongly for the champion jockey. Needs a change of luck this week. Just behind them, Katchit is poised. Also Luneos getting a good view of that next flight as Degar Art once again clouted that hurdle, but he's still got the lead. One that's off the bridle behind is Pockland is being driven along. One that's lost his place is Poyak, gone right back through the field. Continue their way then towards the flight at the top of the hill. It's the 6th, Degar Art from Punjabi, who goes very strongly with Mountain behind them. Katchit, Financial Reward, Luneos is poised, only 3 lengths behind him in 6th. Givol and Paran next in the green-yellow crossbelts. They take that next flight, 3 out, still a long way to go. My Petra is poised behind them. So too Mobasha, who's just being patiently ridden on the outside. Liberate is next, and then behind them comes Convincing, who's lost a couple of places as the runners make their way left-handed down the hill. On they go then, and it's a good old clip here in the JCB Triumph Hurdle with Degar Art in front. In 2nd on the outside, moving pretty strongly, is Punjabi and Mick Fitzgerald. The two of them always stride for stride now. Katchit is covering all the moves. Mountain off the bridle for the first time. On the wide outside, Financial Reward. Luneos is poised, just being given the hurry up now by Barry Geraghty. Liberate starts to run on from the back. So too wider is Mobasha, and also towards the back of the field, picking up ground is My Petra as they come down now towards the 2nd last here. Punjabi's come through to take over. Mick Fitzgerald from Katchit, Chop Thornton moving into 2nd place. 3rd then is Degar Art. Liberate staying on strongly on the outside. Luneos is flat out in 5th. fifth, followed then by Mobasha. Sheepskin Noseman up the inside. Givol is next. The others struggling to hang on to these leaders. Katchit's taken over, and it's Katchit who loves this hill, who quickens up in great style. He comes down towards the final flight, 3 or 4 lengths of the good over Liberate in second, then Mobasha and Punjabi, who's only found the one pace. Katchit comes up to the final flight. He's well clear. He's about 6 clear. He's over it comfortably. In second place then is Liberate, who's battling on, but Katchit is storming clear. 6, 7 lengths clear as he races up inside the final 150 yards. Katchit and Robert Thornton have got the JCB Triumph Hurdle all wrapped up here in second place. It'll be a good battle, but there's only one winner, Katchit, and they couldn't catch him. He's too good. Katchit an easy winner in a great week for Chock Thornton and Alan King. Liberate was second, then Mobasha, Punjabi 4, Givol was next.
Cheltenham 2007 is Alan King's stage, and we are merely bit players. Katchit has produced a terrific performance to demolish what looked one of the strongest Triumph Hurdle fields assembled for many a year. This is a super tough little terrier of a horse, and he's given King and his stable jockey Robert Thornton their third winner of the week after My Way to Solzen and Voy por Ustedes, and this was simply wonderfully impressive. Liberate has run a mighty race, as has Mobasha. Punjabi was up there for a long way. Linnaeus moved up strongly. All the right horses involved in behind, but they were all well in the wake of this one. Katchit. He's illuminated the juvenile hurdling season. This is his third success at Prestbury Park. What a wonderful triumph this is, Jonathan.
Absolutely magnificent. I should apologise. I said if he did win, it would be probably indicate a substandard renewal, and it's anything but, because he is a fantastically impressive winner. He keeps improving. The ground may well have helped that, but he travelled like a dream throughout. And when he's gone on off the home bend, the race is as good as over. Once again, he's jumped superbly. He's a most impressive winner. I've timed at it about 2 seconds inside standard. So whatever way you look at it, he's a really top-notch juvenile hurdler.
It's suggesting that the ground is riding quicker than yesterday, first, and second, that he is a very talented individual. He has found a real turn of foot kicking for home. He's quickened twice here, Katchit, 11-2, 12-1 in second place here. Liberate has run a really good race, and Mobasha likewise has acquitted himself with any amount of credit on just his second hurdling start. Punjabi fading out of the equation late in the piece, having given a bold show, travelling strongly under Mick Fitzgerald for a long way, but they're all miles behind a 9-length victor in this Triumph Hurdle, which was run at a really good strong gallop.
It was, and you mentioned before, all the right horses were there at the top of the hill when you expected them, but from several of them going well, he was the only one off the home turn. 9 lengths, you don't win Triumph Hurdles by that distance unless you're exceptionally good. We've kept saying all year, yes, he is good, but, and now you can just take the but away.
Robert Thornton, consummate professional, a brilliant rider of Cheltenham. He's worked it out. He's figured this game out in the last couple of years, and he's so reliable.
He is. I think they make a really good team. As we said yesterday, they were out walking the track on the first day of the meeting, and they knew exactly what their plan was with Katchit. Handy, no stamina worries, take the race by the scruff of the neck off the home turn, say goodbye.
Just look at those in behind. It is the right horses in second, third, fourth and fifth from a form point of view. The stable's other runner, far left of shot, My Petra. She's run a very brave race, not quite able to go the gallop at some stages, but she's plugged on really dourly for jockey Wayne Hutchinson. It has been some week for Alan King, who is with Stewart now.
Very good. Alan, it's been a fabulous week. It's just got better. That's 3 championship races now.
Yeah, I mean, Chuck and I spoke at breakfast on Monday, and we knew they were in good form, but you know, we'd have settled for one of them, and this is just it doesn't get any better.
That's a terrific horse, though, isn't it? 4 out of 4 at Cheltenham. He's just won a Triumph Hurdle by 9 lengths.
He was very impressive, and he was always travelling. Yeah. And to be fair, I mean, Chuck said all the way through, I mean, he must be a better horse when the ground dries up, and I think he proved that today.
And the way he's bounded up the hill.
12-1. Yeah, let's hope he goes on, eh? One of a champion.
More improvement to come.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, he's tiny. We know he's small, but my God, he's got a heart as big as his body, I think.
Alan King of Cheltenham this week. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Alan King, terrific week. Katchit, terrific horse. Diminutive, but lion-hearted. And sporting congratulations there from Philip Hobbs. He'll be delighted with the run of Liberate. And Alan King receiving congratulations all round. What fun this horse has given his connections. And he's progressed from being a tough little horse to a really classy one. And he's earned a quote of 14-1 with Blue Square for the 2008 Champion Hurdle. And still, Jonathon, I should imagine that people will doubt his ability to transcend this and move to the highest level, but why? He lacks physical scope, apparently, but he doesn't race like that. Robert Thornton has given him the perfect ride. It's a warm bond between King and Thornton. They found the perfect partners in one another in the last 2 or 3 years. The Barbary Castle stable has expanded now to a string well in excess of 100, and this is a hugely popular success.
Katchit, beaten only once in his career to date, has landed the JCB Triumph Hurdle, and a third winner at the festival for Alan King and Robert Thornton. Little terrier of a horse, Katchit, with a good deal of class. 11-2, he's beaten Liberator 12-1 shot, and Mubasha for Charlie Mann. He's run a big race at 33s in third. 23 ran.
Champion Hurdle quotes 2008 flooding in at plenty, generally a 10-1 shot. This stage Blue Square are biggest at 14-1. But let's dwell on today. That's all in the future, but it's this season that this horse has been all about. Katchit, and we'll take it right from the early stages. They got away to a first-timer, which is the first time I can remember in a Triumph Hurdle in recent years, and first time this week, I think. And we lose one of the first. That's Katchiturian. White cap and sleeves 2/3 of the way down the pack, and a nasty fall it was too. Let's hope he and jockey Stephen Crane are up okay. Lord Adonis, one of the rank outsiders, was hampered and was never in the hunt after that. Degas Art setting a good clip with Poyak up there in the early stages, and Financial Reward, who ran well. Mountain is in the white colours in fourth, Paran fifth, green and yellow, Punjabi white face, grey and pink colours, and nearest to us is Duty. Katchit at this stage is in about 11th, a perfect mid-div spot just to the inside of Luneos in the green and white.
Now watching each other, no surprise to see Degas Art take up the running. Change of tactics very much on Liberate, who's held up towards the rear, has made the running when he's won before, but the change of tactics have certainly worked.
Yeah, I think those were a sensible change of tactics, because if you look at the front runners now, none of them got home. The classy flat horses to the fore, they're all doing a little bit too much. Degas Art certainly. Mountain, another luckless ride for Tony McCoy, hugging the paint, gave him a good ride, but it wasn't to be. And the horse in the cheek piece is the outside as well. You can see he got quite warm and stewed up in the preliminaries. Punjabi's keen enough in fourth as well, and he's done well to last out in fourth, given how much he picked up the bit in the early stage.
Yeah, he has. He's certainly done best of those that race right on the pace. You've already seen Pouillec's lost his place, is not going well. I think he's probably a horse who definitely needs to lead, because he seems to have sulked there.
Mistake at the back, red cap and sleeves, Andy Stewart colours. Pockland was off the bridle from an early stage, but has actually plugged on and beaten quite a few. Another horse who's run quite well for a long way, check colours towards the rear, that is Jim Old's run at Counting House on just his second start, and he makes some ground late too. But down the back, Katchit has just moved up a couple of places here, and Robert Thornton has made that move at just the right point in the race. He doesn't want to be too far off them as they come down the hill.
No, or going up the hill. Degas Art's still leading, but he's not a fluent hurdler. It's an effort for him. He tends to wrap the odd one or two, and now that it's unfolding. Mountain's still going well. Luneos is picked up and is tracking going well. The ones you expected to be there are Liberate's about to come through from the back.
Luneos making eye-catching headway the outside, and she gets a really good jump here, Luneos. And really at this stage I thought it was her race to pick up by the scruff of the neck, but the horse to her inside had different ideas.
Yeah, and every time you look at Katchit in the race, he's A, in the ideal position, and B, he's going really well.
horse making eye-catching headway at this stage on the inside is the filly that started her career in France but is now trained by Willie Mullins, Givol. She made quite an eye-catching mid-race move, red colours with the blue sleeves, but she flattens out as quickly as she moved into the contest.
And at the top of the hill she was going well. Half a furlong later coming down the hill, she's being pushed along, and you can tell what's going to happen. Punjabi is still tanking.
Liberate didn't really come down the hill that well. It's made up a lot of ground, but was a little ungainly in so doing. And Richard Johnson needs to make plenty of use of him, get a good jump here, he does, but he's had to come wide of horses.
He has, and it's not a trouble-free passage down the hill, but you can tell now the race, barring accidents, is all over. Katchit's moved up to Punjabi. Punjabi's run very freely. Katchit's run within his own measure, as he always does. Just the moment when Liberate gives chase, but he's gone.
And he quickens again, and you can see his stride and swift and quicksilver jump at the last. And Katchit has put this race to bed. Very efficient. Couple of slaps behind the saddle, didn't need him. 9 lengths the winning margin, vastly superior. Mabasha has run a terrific race in third.
Yeah, also come from the back, cannoned into Liberate at the last. I think he's a horse of tremendous ability. You just wonder whether he'll produce it all when he's got winning chances in top class hurdle races.
Well, it's been a rather common school of thought that in order to win a Triumph Hurdle these days you need to reappear after Christmas, have a couple of quiet runs, and then you come here to peak on the big day, and you'll beat all those exposed horses who started their career in the autumn. But this time it was different. The horse who'd been putting his rivals to the sword right from August has done so again, and Robert Thornton will now weigh in. And when that is called, the result becomes official. That shock of blonde hair has become rather a familiar sight in the winner's enclosure this week.
It has, and he and the runner-up from last year, who was winning juvenile hurdles in August, are giving an indication that the old lie about, or the old idea that you have to turn up late in January before you start your 4-year-old hurdling career is absolute nonsense.
And this should provide a perfect reflection of Katchit, the way he quickened through horses and then quickened clear of them. You can see Katchit at the moment in 5th place to the inside of Luneos, the favourite. Degar Art is still there in front, but about to be passed by Punjabi in the grey colours. He gets a good jump there. The financial reward starts to back out of proceedings. Degar Art soon loses his pitch, and then the race really begins to unfold in earnest.
It does. The overhead view always gives you a really good idea. Mabasha does move tremendously well as he picks up from the back. As I say, he does have an awful lot of ability if he can just be persuaded to produce it all at the right time.
Ones that were in trouble from a long way out included Freeze the Flame. Wasn't really going a yard today. The last in that group at the moment in the blue colours is Lightning Strike, quite inexperienced, and he's made some ground here up the hill, and I don't think he's done too badly.
No, he hasn't. I mean, his opening effort over hurdles was Huntingdon when he was second, and he still lacks experience, but at least he's given it something of a go.
And you can see Poplar has just popped out a shot and just pops back in now under Sam Thomas. He's been rowing along on that from a mile out, and he has actually run on with purpose to suggest that he's something of a stay. Now Liberate here, this is a good shot down the hill. Richard Johnson, the outside, bumping and grinding. You can see the horse is just hanging out with him slightly. I'm not sure he handled the hill that well, changed his legs a couple of times.
Yeah, you're probably right, and in behind him is Mabasha, who never actually quite got to them, but moved with pretty effortless ease into about 6th or 7th place, having been held up early on.
Yeah, all class Mabasha, and he was a late developer on the flat. I saw him at Chester last May and just thought he looked very, very babyish indeed, and I think he could prove one of the shrewdest purchases of the close season.
Well, he might be. He certainly, I think he perhaps should have finished second, and I think it's the Liberate's credit that having been bumped by Mabasha at the last, he's fended him off, but they're just racing for the peanuts.
Punjabi has run very well in 4th, and perhaps a really strongly run 2 miles just tested him slightly.
Yeah, I think so. He was keen. They might want to hold him up more in future, but he's still run a cracking race behind what we can now see is not some fairly decent juvenile, but a really, really very, very good one.
Yeah, an exceptional performance from Katchit, Robert Thornton, and he, in perfect harmony, he's won on all types of racecourse, all types of ground, versatility, courage, tenacity. That's what characterises this horse. And now he's really proven that he's got more than just a dash of quality as well. And the head-on, you can see some of those in behind who've run good races without ever looking likely to get involved. One of those was convincing, second from the left, has probably posted a career best and passes Luneos, who faded out of the argument a little bit disappointingly in the closing stages.
Yes, I'd put it down to the ground, because she should have beaten one or two of those that finished in front of her, but I'm definitely flattered by her run in the AIG last time.
Katchit didn't cost a king's ransom. The DSJP syndicate, the smaller owners in racing, having their day in the sun and receiving their trophy from representatives of the sponsors, JCB, the Bamford family, great supporters of racing here at Cheltenham. Katchit has landed the 2007 JCB Triumph Hurdle.
In association with coral.co.uk, as serious about racing as you are.
The action continues tomorrow on Racing UK and will be at Wetherby, 2:35 to 5:40. The Betfair Handicap Chase is the feature event on their card. So 2:35 starts tomorrow, 7 races for you. Today's competition, courtesy of Coral, gives you the chance to win a £250 free bet tomorrow. To win, just answer the following question. Who was the last British trained horse to win the Tote Sport Gold Cup? Was it A, Take the Stand, B, Best Mate, or C, Kingscliff? To enter, email coral@racinguk.tv and include your answer name, address and telephone number. Please do so before 5 o'clock tonight so that we can announce the winner before 6 o'clock. More information on our website. Good luck. Challenge 235 is the Brit Insurance Novices Hurdle. 3 miles the trip, 20 runners, and they'll jump 12 hurdles in total. And here they all are. We'll start with the Air Force One. He's trained by Charlie Mann, who must have been absolutely delighted with the performance of Mabasha in the opening contest. Black Harry's number 2. Ruby Walsh rides. Number 3, Celtic Major, Andrew Glastonbury. 4, Chief Dan George, Alan Dempsey. 5, Flight Leader, and Joe Tizard. 6, Hairy Molly, Barry Geraghty. Number 7, Head Held High, Robbie Power. Number 8, Here's Johnny, and Matty Batchelor. Number 9, It's a Legend, Robert Thornton. 10, Joassi, Timmy Murphy. 11, Leading Run, Niall Madden. 12, Mac Federal, Jamie Goldstein. 13, Mr. Strachan, Michael O'Connell. Number 14, Negus de Beaumont, Graham Lee. 15, Ordnay and Sam Thomas. 16, Secret Ploy, who's a blinkered, Andrew Tinkler rides. 17, Sir Jimmy Shand, Mick Fitzgerald. 18, Skipper's Brig, Keith Mercer. 19, Vinando, blinkered, Paddy Brennan. 20, Witchitaw Lineman and Tony McCoy. And that horse is the 11 to 8 favourite. Flight Leader 11 to 2, 15 to 2 Black Harry, Harry Molly 9, Sir Jimmy Shan 9s, 20s Chief Dan George, Leading Run 25s and Secret Ploy 25s, 33s Air Force One and Negus de Beaumont, Head Held High 40s, and Mr. Strachan is 40 to 1 as well.
No sooner has the dust settled on a magnificent performance by Katchit in the Triumph Hurdle that we move straight on to a race whose inception came 2 years ago. It's the Brit Insurance Novices Hurdle, registered as the Spar. It's a Grade 2 over 3 miles for novices, and it represents another opportunity to give Tony McCoy some redemption, because it's been a forgettable week for him thus far. Witchitaw Lineman's form now looks even stronger after the running of the Ballymore Properties Novices Hurdle 2 days ago, in which Massini's Maguire beat Tidal Bay, and they're two horses who've seen the back of Witchitaw Lineman on more than one occasion this season. Not only that, Witchitaw Lineman's beaten them comfortably. First, let's take in his defeat of Silverburn at Aintree, first time up this season. And AP McCoy, even though the horse wasn't devastatingly impressive, spoke in glowing terms of his resolution and likeability afterwards.
Yes, he did. And I think Silverburn's gone on to prove himself a pretty useful novice himself, but this was what they were expecting from Witchitaw Lineman. I remember this day he was tremendously well backed, even though it didn't necessarily appear that he should have been such a short price, but he justified all the expectations.
We're going to have a look now at his victory here on Trials Day, when the ground was very different, heavy ground on that occasion, and really very testing indeed. But it didn't seem to bother him too much. He relished it, in fact. And as soon as he was in the hunt meaningfully,
as they rounded for home, you sense that he was going to beat these, such as his grit and determination. Massini's Maguire, Wednesday's opening race winner, gives chase and runs really well, and that's Tidal Bay over on the far side. This form is about as solid as it gets. Osana, incidentally, is back in fourth.
And runs in the county hurdle later, yes. The two giving chase to him now, finished first and second in the Ballymore properties on Wednesday. And he's not a flashy horse, Witchitaw Lineman. He just grinds it out, any sort of ground, but he just keeps galloping. And in theory, the longer trip, 3 furlongs more than he's ever gone over, should certainly suit him today.
He's excelled the stronger the gallop, and he'll certainly get that today. I wonder how much connections are ruining the decision to bypass the Grade 1 in favour of the Grade 2, but Tony McCoy won't mind if he gets in the winner's enclosure, because that quest continues, and it's been a fruitless one thus far. He rode 4 horses who were favourite yesterday, though 3 of them surely only because of connections, and I think he had his work cut out on King Revo and Moncadou, neither of whom really ever looked like they were going a yard, and Cadoon was too high in the handicap in the last, and we all know what happened to Blackjack Ketchum. So a miserable week for him so far. Can he pull one out of the fire here? Well, the horse who's already been successful at the Cheltenham Festival is last year's bumper winner Harry Molly, who sprung a 33-1 surprise. He looks big enough again, and this is his performance last year in the bumper. I
know, I thought it was a surprise that he managed to win this last year, but it's solid enough form and showed that he's obviously effective around the course. He's had a couple of runs over hurdles, and second one came out and won. I don't think the form is good enough to allow him to win this. He's certainly, on my reading of things, held by Black Harry, who incidentally beat him in a bumper when they met early in their careers. But he's a festival winner.
That is Harry Molly winning the Weatherby's Champion bumper last year. As Angus quite rightly pointed out, Charlie Mann will be delighted with the run of Mabasha in the opener, and he's got a spicy outsider here. Jonathon in Air Force One, German bred. I was most impressed with him at Ludlow, not the obvious schooling ground for a race at the Cheltenham Festival, but he demolished a reasonable field in bloodless fashion, and he's been brought along with a view to this race.
Yes, I mean the only blemish on his record was first time out here, and when he looked like more of a sighter than anything else, but he's since won at Leicester and this victory at Ludlow. You can do no more than career away up the home straight. Horses don't tend to win races at Ludlow by wide margins, but he certainly has. It might not be the best form in the world, but he's you don't know how good he is.
True, and one thing we can certainly say is that he wants decent ground. He's been kept away from soft ground, and he gets his conditions today, and he looks all right in the paddock. He certainly looks pretty fit, even though he hasn't run for well over a month. Mac Federal produced one of the training performances of the season from Sheena West when landing a handicap and a few small bets at Kempton a couple of starts ago. I'm puzzled to know why they went for the Imperial Cup at Sandown last week, but on this sort of form, he's not a complete no-hoper.
No, I thought he was a really big price. He had no chance in the Imperial Cup. He just didn't have the pace to get competitive, but this was his first start over hurdles for about 8 months, and well, you see he's well clear of the runner-up, and the rest are in a different county. Excellent training performance by Sheena West, who took over a horse who was a disappointment in the previous yard. And although this is very testing ground at Kempton, the previous win last summer came on good fast ground, so he's effective on anything, I should imagine.
Let's talk about Flight Leader, because trainer Colin Tizard is just giving his son Joe a leg up on that horse. He's got the best form in the race for me. He's third behind Blazing Bailey and Ingles Dreaver, now looks even better after yesterday's World Hurdle. His defeat of La Belle Thou gives further ballast and proves that neither effort was a fluke. I'd be very, very surprised if Flight Leader was out of the 3 here.
Yes, I've watched his progression with a certain amount of incredulity. The official handicapper has been putting him up sort of 20-25 pounds a shot, and I thought, well, that horse can't improve this much. But as you say, the last run, third to Blazing Bailey and Ingles Dreaver, you're quite right. That is the strongest form in the race.
Let's take a show of betting.
Witchitaw Lineman 11-8 now. Did open up at 6-4. Flight Leader 11-2. 15-2 Black Harry. Harry Molly 17-2. Bit of money for Air Force One, 28s from 33s. Mr. Strachan, it's on the drift, that's out to 40s. So Witchitaw Lineman very solid on the exchanges. Flight Leader next best, just under 7 to 1. So just a little bit bigger on the exchanges than it is on course. Black Harry is 7 to 1. Interesting that Black Harry being supported, and it's quite solid on the exchanges. Ruby Walsh rides. Harry Molly 17 to 2 at the moment, and that's 9 to 1. So Jimmy Shand is about 9.5 on the exchanges at the moment. Air Force One is interesting, fluctuating around the place, but he's 37 to 1 at the moment. Witchitaw Lineman, though, many people's idea of the banker bet today at Cheltenham, and he is being supported thus 11 to 8 from 6 to 4.
The Witchitaw Lineman then 11 to 8 favourite here. Flight Leader is next best. And Flight Leader you'd think would have a really big chance in this race. He's run well at Cheltenham before, and is trained by Colin Tizard, who also runs Bobbin in the Cheltenham Gold Cup later, and Stewart is with Colin now.
Yeah, Colin, thanks for spending a few moments to chat to us. Just giving Joe the leg up on Flight Leader. Horse looks in great nick.
Yeah, he's quite buzzy actually for him, but he's had a bit of a break. He hasn't won on this ground. I walk the course and they say good to soft. I couldn't even find any good to soft. I thought it was good ground. Joe thinks it'll ride on the dead side. Yeah, but in his favour, he's mixed it with the best horses all season, and
there's nothing wrong with that Blazing Bale Ingle Street reform.
Not at all, is there? And I just thought at that time he was a little bit light. He'd had 3 hard runs in heavy ground. We freshened him up a bit. He's quite fresh today.
What are the instructions to Joe?
Oh, bring him back safe.
Sure.
Okay.
You've got to have a big chance. A quick word about Bobbin.
Yeah, well, he's the outsider, but I don't think he deserves to be the outsider. He came fourth in the Brit here 2 years ago. Looked as though he's going to win it. He'll like good ground. Everyone thinks he's a mud horse. I don't think he is. I hopefully get some prize money.
Okay, Colin, thanks. Good luck.
Thank you.
Colin Tizard, trainer of Flight Leader. Let's have a look at all the contenders then. For the 2007 Brit Insurance Novices Hurdle, you've seen Air Force One in winning action at Ludlow. Can he give another bold sighter for Charlie Mann, who's had a pretty good week? 25 to 1 for Noel Feely.
One of the fancied horses, Black Harry, who's most progressive, won over this trip last time, beat nothing but won by a wide margin, and has a victory over Harry Molly in a bumper to his credit.
Celtic Major, fine advertisement for the training skills of Helen Lewis. Won 2 quite competitive handicaps at Wincanton, but off level weights this is altogether tougher. 100 to 1.
And Chief Dan George amazingly improved since joining Jimmy Moffat and having cheek pieces applied. Absolutely fantastic run of success, but it's all come in the mud.
Number 5 is Flight Leader. We've just been hearing about him. He has the best form in the race, you could argue. He's campaigned in open company and done extremely well. Back against novices this time. Big player.
And Harry Molly won the bumper here last season and got off the mark over hurdles last time with a decent enough win, but that form isn't good enough to justify an 8 to 1 price.
Head Held High is an interesting one at a bigger price. Progressing quietly, got a stayer's pedigree, should improve for the step up to 3 miles. Looks one of the best in the paddock. 40 to 1. Good each way bet.
Here's Johnny, winner at Uttoxeter and Exeter earlier in the season. Was then sent on a long journey up to Newcastle, could only finish 4th, and that form doesn't entitle him to be better than 100 to 1 shot.
9 is It's a Legend for the all-conquering King Thornton team. He's a huge price, oughtn't to be, was a classy bumper horse in his day and has got some alright form over hurdles this season.
And Joatchi, a failed chaser in the end, has been making hay over hurdles, won a couple, certainly stays well, but got stuffed by Chief Dan George last time and will need to do better.
We heard from Noel Mead yesterday about the chances of leading Run, a really classy bumper horse last season. Not quite hit those heights over hurdles, has had a few physical problems, but does have more than a touch of class.
And Mac Federal, we saw him winning at Kempton, spread eagling a field in a handicap of a mark of 114. No good over 2 miles last time. Not a forlorn 100 to 1 shot.
That's Mac Federal. Number 13 is Mr. Strachan, who is currently running loose, and you've just seen him jump the running rails. We know he can jump. He's a real stayer. He pushed Canpie all the way in November,
and 40-1 shot for Sue Smith, all of whose horses at this meeting last year ran really well.
And the next is Negus de Beaumont, who's hard as nails. Another one who's been in fantastic form, much improved, winning handicaps. The only blip on his horizon was when he was another one to be undone by Chief Dan George.
All-conquering Ferdy Murphy team. Or Nace represents Paul Nicholls. He's urged us not to forget this horse, but he'll need more than his last defeat when he was campaigned over this trip for the first time.
The Secret Ploy ran in the Sun Alliance Hurdle, as it then was at the festival 2 years ago. Long absence, battled home at Kempton on his last start, but that form's been lit down. They put the blinkers on.
Another chance, another leading chance for Nicky Henderson and Mick Fitzgerald. So Jimmy Shand followed Witchitaw Lineman home in the Challow Newbury when he still looked a little bit inexperienced. With that under his belt, he might get a little bit closer today.
Interesting one, Skipper's Brig. He's won 3 of his 4 starts over hurdles, and on the only time he was beaten, it was not his fault. The bit slipped. You could have worse 66-1 shots.
Vinando was a very useful, if non-winning, stayer on the flat. 10 and 12 furlongs, his ideal trip. Makes you think that this trip's going to just stretch his stamina, particularly with the headgear on one last time out.
Yes, a bit iffy, but so was Mabasha, and we saw how well he ran. And your favourite, winner Aintree, Newbury, here, yet to tackle this trip. Surely they're going to be most disappointed if he can't win this, when the Ballymore on Wednesday was awaiting him.
Mr. Strachan has been caught happily, and hopefully will be reunited with Michael O'Connell. Big day for him very shortly. He put in a spring-heeled leap over one of the running rails when he was running loose, and this is what happened. He just ducked down toward the other horses at the start and gave Michael no chance, and he was very lucky not to be trampled on by Vinando, but that's how well he jumps. Harvey Smith's clearly been schooling him at home.
A fencing campaign probably awaits.
He's actually going down in an incredibly well-behaved and relaxed fashion. I don't think he's taken anything out of himself whatsoever, and if you have backed me, I really wouldn't be all that worried.
No, neither would I. I mean, it's not as if he's run amok for 2 laps of the track. He's not sweating up particularly, and he looks perfectly relaxed now, doesn't he?
Actually, Jonathan, he's been running really well all season. I saw him run at Uttoxeter one day, and I thought he was incredibly brave.
Yeah, I did. I mean, he's won on this. He's won on fast ground, certainly at Wetherby last June. Again, not the sort of place you'd associate to start your Cheltenham campaign. I do think, however, he's probably better in mud.
That's Mr. Strachan. Ground, good to soft, good in place. It's time of the first race suggests it's very much on the good side of that. Either that or an exceptional performance from the winner. Probably a bit of both. Witchitaw Lineman 11-8, 11-2 flight leader. Black Carry 13-2, 15-2 Hairy Molly, 9 and bigger the rest. Your final thoughts?
Well, if Witchitaw Lineman doesn't win, they'll be ruining the fact that they opted for this rather than the other race. Flight leader certainly has the form to give him a race, and I do fear Black Harry as well, very much.
The vet is just having a look at Mr. Strachan. That is an official protocol. And make sure that he's absolutely happy that he should participate here. It looks, the way he went down, that he's absolutely fine. I'd be surprised if they took him out, but very careful, particularly here at Cheltenham, with all eyes on this meeting and plenty of scrutiny as well. And welfare absolutely paramount, and that is being attended to at the moment. Stewart has been roving the paddock, spoke to Colin Tizard. He's come to join us to watch the race. Stewart, what were your impressions? What was your idea of the likeliest winner?
Well, as Jonathon has said, Flight Leader has got the form in the book, which suggests he should be a lot closer to Witchitaw Lineman in the betting than he is. I just sense, talking to Colin as we heard from him, he's a little bit uneasy about the drying ground. He said he's walked it and he can't find a lot of good to soft. He finds it mainly good. Witchitaw Lineman is clearly the one to beat. It's going to be a huge disappointment to Connections if he doesn't win this, having bypassed the race earlier in the week to come here for apparently the easier option. They did it last year successfully with Blackjack Ketchum. After the week they've had, they'll be crossing more than fingers that they can do the same this time around.
Indeed so. Michael O'Connell is back aboard Mr. Strachan. Extensive tack adjustments taking place. It shouldn't be that much longer. We're just 4.5 minutes past post time. The starter is wandering across to his rostrum, which gives us a chance to say good afternoon to a second commentator here at Cheltenham this afternoon. Good afternoon to Mark Johnson.
Thanks very much indeed, Nick. Good afternoon, everyone. Witchitaw Lineman for many people, the banker of the meeting for them. There he is with AP McCoy aboard. Can he get off the mark here? Now they're about to walk forward. They're walking in. cries of no from several jockeys, and they've gone through the tape. So Jimmy Shand was right up there. Witchitaw Lineman was right on the inside, also in the front rank as they came into the tapes, but I think it was just Sir Jimmy Shand who went through the starting point first. It looked never like a real goer there, because one or two of them were just a little bit behind. So the tape is going to be rethread at the 3-mile start, and we'll go for a second timer. Last update on the betting sees Witchitaw Lineman at 11-8, 11-2 flight leader, 13-2 Black Harry, 7's Hairy Molly, 9 Sir Jimmy Shand, and 20's Bar. Still the tape about to be fixed. One or two of them are now sweating quite freely in the preliminaries. One of the Irish Raiders, Black Harry, is awash with sweat down at the starting point now. And the jockey's already just getting a little fidgety. The tape's still not quite stretched across, but they're already just beginning to angle for position again. And AP is getting Witchitaw Lineman towards the inside. He's 2 off the rail. Walking in again. And they're off. They race over 3 miles. The Brit Insurance Novices hurdle, a Grade 2 contest. So Jimmy Shand towards the outside is very prominent as they go towards the first of the 12 flights. Celtic Major the Grey towards the inside, and Black Harry is also prominent as they skip over the first flight of hurdles. They're all safely over, just ridden along Secret Ploy towards the outside of the field. Hasn't really had a cut at the first flight and is already beginning to get detached from the main body of the field as they go towards flight number 2, and on the outside in second, Sir Jimmy Shand wasn't too fluent at the back of the field. An awkward leap as well there by Here's Johnny. Joachim just behind that one, and Secret Ploy is last. They go over flight number 3, and on the inside Celtic Major just had the lead to on the outside Sir Jimmy Shand racing in second. Black Harry is in third, and Witchitaw Lineman on the inside racing in 4th position. For company with that one, Racer's leading run, and then towards that one's outside the purple of Hairy Molly. Next in the field is Mac Federal, followed by the orange of Flight Leader. Towards the inside is Negus de Beaumont. Towards the outside is Chief Dan George, followed by Vinando and Head Held High as they skip over the next Head Held High. Didn't jump that one very well and gets a hurry-up call from Robbie Power and drops 2 or 3 places through the field. Was out-jumped by Skipper's Brig as they now begin to make the turn at the top end of the course. A long run now towards the next flight, which will be flight number 5. And towards the outside, Mick Fitzgerald and Sir Jimmy Shand have now got the lead by 3 parts of a length. Celtic Major is racing in second, and Black Harry fills out third. The favourite Witchitaw Lineman is in 4th. Hairy Molly in 5, and Chief Dan George is racing in 6th position. Racing on the inside is Leading Run, followed by the orange of Flight Leader, who's taken a healthy grip in the early stages. Vinando towards the outside. Secret Ploy, who didn't have a cut at the first 3 flights, really has picked up the bit going down the hill and is now prominent. Joachim is now being driven at the back of the field. Mr. Strachan is last but 1, and Air Force 1 is last but 2. There was a mistake at that flight of hurdles by Skipper's Brig, who didn't get very high. Another one just been ridden along now is Negus de Beaumont. Another one struggling at the back of the field. Here's Johnny, one who's swinging away on the bit, but still a long way off the speed in the early stages. It's a Legend under Robert Thornton. So they come towards the halfway point and on towards flight number 6 in the Brit Insurance Novices hurdle, and it's Mick Fitzgerald and Sir Jimmy Shand who lead the field. Towards the inside is Celtic Major. That one's now been overtaken by Black Harry towards that one's outside. Witchitaw Lineman has had a perfect trail through the first half of the contest. He's racing in 4th and he's only 2 lengths off the lead. Hairy Molly is racing in 5th position, and then Chief Dan George is racing in 6th. Flight Leader in 7, and Leading Run is 8, and Secret Ploy is 9, and Mac Federal is 10. Vinando is 11th, and Skipper's Brig, and then on the inside in the black and white halves is Ornay. Then towards the inside, pushed along, is Negus de Beaumont, who's been on and off the bit. It's a Legend now begins to make his move, sweeping very wide round the outside. Head Held High is next in the field, followed by Air Force 1. Then towards the inside, Mr. Strachan. 1 or 2 reminders once more now for Here's Johnny, and Joachim struggling badly at the back of the field. They're through the halfway point in the Brit Insurance. They go down the back straight the second time, and still it's Sir Jimmy Shand who leads the field. Towards the outside is Black Harry. The dark blue colours jumps that one really well, much better than the leader. And then Witchitaw Lineman just got a shake of the reins there from AP, but he's still plenty close enough, if good enough. Towards the outside is Hairy Molly in the purple, followed then by Flight Leader, and then the yellow cap of Chief Dan George. They skip over the next flight down the back straight, and Flight Leader really has hit a flat spot there. He hit that pretty hard, and now he's been driven along. So Jimmy Shand has the lead to Black Harry. Then on the inside, Witchitaw Lineman didn't get very high. Harry Molly towards the outside. Flight Leader is next, followed then by the quarters of Mac Federal, who is picking up 1 or 2 places. Leading run still going pretty well. Mcnae is now being driven along as they make another turn. He's then being followed by Chief Dan George. Air Force One is picking up places towards the inside. Secret Ploy now beats a retreat. Here's Johnny is staying on, and then towards the inside is Skipper's Brig. They're getting well and truly strung out now as they go towards the third from home. On the outside, Black Harry has jumped the lead for Ireland. Black Harry goes on now for Ruby Walsh, and he goes on by about half a length. Towards the inside in second is Sir Jimmy Shand, who's still there, and now the whip is up on Witchitaw Lineman. He's back in fourth, and he's now being furiously driven by Tony McCoy. Towards the outside, Harry Molly has now taken third position as they now begin to make the run down the side of the course. One who is picking up, here's Johnny, who was out with the washing early, but now he's got fifth position, but in cruise control mode at the moment is Ruby Walsh on Black Harry, and he's out in front now by a length and a half. Harry Molly also for Ireland is in second. Witchitaw Lineman, McCoy has thrown the kitchen sink in third. Towards the inside is Sir Jimmy Shand whipping round the outside and staying on. Here's Johnny, and then came Mcnae and Mac Federal. They go the second from home, and it was Black Harry, but here comes Witchitaw Lineman, and he's coming back for AP as they're now about to swing the corner. They've got 2.5 furlongs to go, and the leading duo have now gone clear. It's Ruby Walsh and Black Harry on the inside. AP McCoy and Witchitaw Lineman with a length to find towards the grandstand side. They still have over 2 furlongs to go. Black Harry on the inside. Here comes Witchitaw Lineman. His white face is now showing in front as they come down towards the final flight. Witchitaw Lineman is going to take the final flight, and down in second is Black Harry. He may have been held at the time. Air Force One is the one who is staying on out of the pack, but they've now got 150 yards to go. It is Witchitaw Lineman who is just pouring it on, coming up the hill. It's AP McCoy. He's going to ride the banker for many people at the Cheltenham Festival for 2007. Witchitaw Lineman wins the Brit Insurance. Air Force One stays on for second. It's a Legend in third, and Flight Leader finished fourth.
No extravagant punch of the air, just relief for Tony McCoy. He's got his Cheltenham Festival winner, courtesy of Witchitaw Lineman, who was scrubbing, bumping and boring fully 3 hurdles from home, but has seen this out better than any other horse in the race. He challenged Black Harry between the second last and the last. Black Harry looked to be cruising, turning for home, but he had that one's measure when Black Harry crashed out with an horrific fall at the last, and it's prayers for Black Harry, I fear, and Ruby Walsh. Let's hope he's okay ahead of his big race ride on Corto Star. Black Harry, I'm afraid, is still down at the last, and it was left to Air Force One to come home in second. Another magnificent run for the Charlie Mann stable. It's a Legend has come out of the clouds for third. Alan King can't stop training horses to run above their best at the Cheltenham Festival, and Mac Federal has run really well in fourth. Witchitaw Lineman, the 11-8 favourite, does it for McCoy, but thoughts for Black Harry, who was about to serve up a rare tussle.
Yes, they've gone a rare gallop here. I think that's why the placed horses are, certainly the third is unexpected. The principals who fired it up for most of the race have largely fallen by the wayside. Like you, I mean, like everyone, I'm sure we're all hoping Black Harry gets up. He was in desperate trouble at the top of the hill, Witchitaw Lineman, but he's got abundant stamina, and as we've seen from the footage before, all he does is gallop, and that's what he's done today.
Let's take it from the top of the hill, and you can see how well Black Harry's travelling. Going much the best here in the hands of Ruby Walsh. In behind, Tony McCoy is now beginning to really get Witchitaw Lineman back into the bridle to galvanise him, and now you know that Black Harry's got to find for pressure.
Yep, Black Harry has just cruised. I wondered whether he might have kicked on, but he didn't, and the winner's gone in.
And the great news is that Black Harry is up. And I really didn't think that was likely when he crashed out at the last, but he has got up, and that is the best news out of this race, because he has given everything here. You fancy he was coming to the end of his tether. It was a tired-looking fall, and McCoy had Witchitaw Lineman, this terrifically tenacious horse, into overdrive. Good leap at the last from the winner.
It was a magnificent leap, and that really was a horrible fall. It's fantastic that he's got up. He had run his race in cruise, but when it came to it in the home straight, he didn't have very much left. He certainly would have finished a very honourable second. As it is, Witchitaw Lineman is drawn right away.
Come on, AP, give us a smile. You can smile now. You've ridden the winner. He's getting a great reception from those people who he rides winners for every single day of the week, up and down the country, length and breadth of England and Ireland. And that is an equally welcome sight. Black Harry walking back, bruised and battered, no doubt, but it's so much better than looked likely at one stage. I'm not sure whether the corners of the mouth have upturned as yet, but hopefully they will when he comes into the winner's enclosure.
No, he's going to get a fantastic reception. A very popular winner, one of the bankers of the meeting. Not many of them have won, and this one has.
Witchitaw Lineman, half-brother, of course, to Rhinestone Cowboy, who ran a brave race in the Potemps final on a comeback from a long absence yesterday. A really talented family and a talented man aboard as well, but it just hasn't been his week. He's been wasting pretty hard as well to get down to do lightweights in some of the handicaps, and Moncadou and King Revo yesterday. This will have given him a little sucker. 8-1 with William Hill for next year's World Hurdle. And one thing we do know is that he finds some more up with Cheltenham Hill, in common with Ingles Drever, yesterday's hero. And we can look forward to seeing the two of them mix it up.
We can. I've timed that nearly 5 seconds over standard outside it, so I think they've gone a real lick and they've got tired at the end.
Ruby Walsh, he's okay. It looks to ride Quarto Star in the Towsport Cheltenham Gold Cup. I should think Paul Nicholls watched that last flight fall with dread. But horse and jockey up against the odds. Those in behind that have run brave races in defeat. A lot of early stragglers who were in trouble doing some late running. Here's Johnny, one of them in the maroon colours, white cap. Air Force One has run on for second place. Mac Federal's come out of the clouds. It's a Legend, Writer's Shot has run a brilliant race in third. And Ornate, Sam Thomas pushed that along for 3 miles. And that's finished in the first half dozen or so.
Yeah, the amazing performance was It's a Legend, who was never in the race, still only about 10th jumping the last, and has somehow managed to stay on in really good style to grab the third spot.
Here's the champion jockey though, and just explaining how it was done. Pretty hard work, even for him.
Very. Anyone who backed him must have been kittens at the top of the hill when Black Harry was just lobbing along. Everything else was off the bridle, including the favourite, who was being furiously driven.
And more quotes. Wichita Lineman 7-1 with Bet Direct for the 2008 World Hurdle. 2 performances thus far characterised by real honesty. Both of these during the season. Neither of them has ever given up in a race.
No, Katchit hasn't given up at all, and here we go. Here's the reception.
19th festival winner for AP McCoy. He's going to enjoy it.
One of the best backed horses of this year's festival has obliged. John Joe O'Neill, JP McManus offering their congratulations to Tony McCoy. He's had a torrid festival so far, but AP is up and running again. And there's Ruby Walsh. He's up okay. Heavy fall at the last. Good that the horse got up as well. And Ruby, unhurt, makes his way back to the weighing room. Witchitaw Lineman 11-8 favourite beats Air Force One at 25-1. It's a Legend was 100-1 in third, all 20 ran.
Witchitaw Lineman then wins the 11-8 favourite. Really popular result here at Cheltenham. JP McManus there and son Kieran offering congratulations to the winning rider. And another winner for JP, who won with Butler's Cabin yesterday, ridden by Alan Berry, but it's his retained jockey that has brought home the spoils here. Witchitaw Lineman wins. It's not long now until the feature race of the Cheltenham Festival 2007, the Towsport Cheltenham Gold Cup, and we'll be bringing you an extensive preview of that race in a few moments' time. But first of all, we're going to look back at the Brit Insurance Novices Hurdle in its entirety. From the start, we were a little delayed by the antics of Mr. Strachan, and he's one of the ones in rear early, along with horses who picked up pieces. Horses such as Here's Johnny in the maroon colours toward the rear, and also It's a Legend, who was outpaced virtually from the word go in last. The horse that spat the bit out as soon as the tapes went up was Jonathon. He was never in the hunt.
No, he didn't enjoy it. He made a brief effort around halfway, but he wasn't going. Secret Ploy was on and off. I mean, he's last at the moment and didn't take to the blinkers to start with. Did after a mile, but it's not the sort of run that you take a great deal of encouragement from.
My initial thought, Jonathon, was that they weren't going a great gallop, but I think on reflection they were going a pretty solid one, because a lot of these horses have not got home. AP McCoy's with Stewart.
Tony, many congratulations. What a ride.
Yeah, he's a good little horse. I'm not just saying that after the event. I thought he was my best ride of the meeting, and I'm glad he won. He's got a great attitude, real tough, loves a battle and stays forever, so that was probably why he went for the 3 mile race. But he's a good horse, and the way the two horses performed out in the race on Wednesday, it meant that he was obviously going to take a lot of beating, so I'm glad he won for the owner and the trainer.
Well, the way you've had it was thoroughly deserved. Well done.
It was indeed thoroughly deserved. And a smile for Racing UK from AP McCoy, a semblance of one. This is why. Let's pick it up where we left it. Sir Jimmy Shand, who was one of the fancies for the races, up front, didn't get home.
No, he didn't. He's up there with Celtic Major, who likes to make the running. Neither of those are going to figure at the end. The unfortunate last hurdle faller, Black Harry's in third and always cruising. Wichita Lineman's banging there. Didn't always hurdle magnificently fluently, but he's in the right position, along with last year's bumper winner Harry Molly.
Yes, Harry Molly moved up quite stylishly at one point, and again just seemed not to quite stay out the trip, and perhaps a return to 2.5 miles might suit that one. Up front to Jimmy Shand, just running with the choke out really, and in a moment you'll see Mick Fitzgerald just take a little bit of a pull, and he packs the field up when they get to the bottom of the hill.
Yeah, for the first 3/4 of a mile they have gone a pretty ferocious gallop, and even though they're freewheeling downhill, it is time to just ease off a bit. I still think the reason the time is comparatively slow is because they've gone too quickly early. I know that sounds paradoxical. You'll notice Secret Ploy stumble there on the outside.
Yeah, the red colours jumped the flight of hurdles okay. Just to that one's inside in the headgear is Vinando, who ran a Vinando type of race really. He spat the dummy out, then he picked up the bit, then he was too keen, and that was never going to be a recipe for great success. The eventual runner-up Air Force One has just slipped out of the picture in the pale blue cap down on the inside.
And if anyone had told you that Here's Johnny would turn into the home straight in about 5th place, seeing him being driven along in the last trio at this stage, you would have thought they were mad.
Still Sir Jimmy Shand up there, and the fact that he's just steadied things down has allowed some of the stragglers to make a little bit of ground up. A few scrappy leaps. Mr. Strachan, his antics beforehand, it's difficult to know really whether they've played any part in this, but he's off the bridle now. Amongst those in mid-division, Chief Dan George running quite keenly in the yellow cap. I thought he was going to take a hand, but begins to struggle when the pace is upped on the second circuit, and they head out onto that second circuit now into the country.
It's a pretty quick 3 miles around here. They do it in around 5:40, so even though it is meant to be a stamina test, you need plenty of speed as well.
Harry Molly has just moved up a place or two in the purple colours as Celtic Major begins to back out of proceedings, and leading run was a bitter disappointment for Noel Mead, and Slippers Madden hasn't recaptured the bumper form in the red and yellow colours on the inside. You can see Sam Thomas is scrubbing along like he did on Pockland, the same colours in the first, and it gives everything to Ornace. Reminders for It's a Legend, the eventual third on the outside, right toward the rear. Now, keep your eye, orange colours, flight leader at this stage is going pretty well, but makes a hash of that and soon comes off the bridle.
Indeed, and the previous flight, Skipper's Brig, who was going all right in midfield, hit it, and that more or less did for him as well.
Chief Dan George beats a bit of a retreat before making up some ground again the outside. Joaki's going absolutely nowhere, but does pass a few. Mac Federal, eye-catching headway, mauve and black colours in 6th place on the outside.
And Sam Thomas's persistence looks like it might pay some dividends. He's managed to get Ornace up into about 7th, off the bridle for the last 3/4 of a mile. Even Secret Ploy is in midfield now, but about to go backwards.
Negus de Beaumont is falling out of the back of the screen. I think a quick run 3 miles, he's just always going to struggle, but Graham Lee keeps at him, and he keeps trying bravely, and the race really begins to take shape, and this long, loping, gangly stride of Black Harry in front, he's giving Ruby Walsh a super run.
And he looks certain to win at that stage.
A delighted trainer's wife, Jackie O'Neill, is with Stewart.
Jackie, that was wonderful, wasn't it? Many congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much. Absolutely fantastic.
And just the change of luck you needed, really.
Oh, it was brilliant. We're just so thrilled Tony's, got a winner at the festival. It's so important, to everybody. It's just wonderful to get a winner here, and it's so tough, so tough.
And what a ride he's given the horse as well.
Oh, incredible. Absolutely incredible. I really did think that we would beat a long way out. It's just amazing.
Now, to the horse's credit, he keeps responding.
He does. He's very tough and very genuine, isn't he? And we're just lucky, AP was riding him, and, he's doing a great job. Thank you.
Well, it's been a bit of an up and down week, what with Blackjack yesterday, and then a winner, of course, on the 4 miler, but it's all come good now.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. Absolutely great. And, it's just wonderful. Thankfully, Blackjack's okay today, so that's a huge relief anyway. So there to fight another day, please God.
The weekend's on a high.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
There from the delighted and delightful Jackie O'Neill, best dressed trainer's wife at the Cheltenham Festival, no doubt. Splendid hat.
Very elegant. Very chic.
Back to the story of the race. Black Harry and Sir Jimmy Shand is now beaten down on the inside and begins to beat a pretty hasty retreat, and this is where AP gets into overdrive. And this Cheltenham Hill, the downhill run, is manna from heaven for a horse like Witchitaw Lineman, because it enables him to get in another blow.
Yes, and having looked beaten, he manages to nearly land up size 2 out. Even then, the Black Harry seems to be laughing at him, but they've gone on now. Harry Molly's stopped. Here's Johnny's struggled into 4th. Mac Federer's running an absolute blinder at this stage.
Yeah, there's lots of horses from smaller stables that have acquitted themselves really well in this race, but the class comes to the fore in the end. You could sense that Ruby Walsh might not have been sitting on quite as much horse as looked apparent. He was beginning to roll around into the last Black Harry, and he did not deserve, there's no horse deserves to fall. That's a rather asinine remark on my part, but he'd given everything.
He had. The head just came up running to the last as if he was absolutely gasping for air, and he went from cruise to struggle in a matter of about 50 yards. He still would have won though, but if it hadn't been for a really tenacious horse grinding him down.
Witchitaw Lineman, wide margin winner in the end of the Brit Insurance Novices Hurdle. Air Force One finishing in 2nd. It's a Legend back in 3rd. Charlie Mann, well, he must be wondering what he's got to do to get a Cheltenham Festival winner, because he's had lots and lots of near misses.
He has, and this one's done really well. You can see it moving into 6th place, really making quite eye-catching headway. And yes, it's being ridden, but it's going appreciably better than a lot of the others.
A good long loping stride on Air Force One, putting that to good use. Really powering up the hill, but power up front as well. Here's AP into overdrive, low in the saddle, strong right-handed driving. Look at the horse, he's running as straight as a gun barrel. He's not messing about, and he doesn't mess about when he gets in front either. Straight and true to the line. This will give you a shot of this dramatic fall, just lugging down into Ruby Walsh's whip, rolling around like quite a tired horse, Black Harry, and down he goes, pitching Ruby to the floor. An amazing both horse and rider up, relatively unscathed. Witchitaw Lineman left alone, but he doesn't mind that. He gallops straight and true to the line. Having Cheltenham Festival winners is JP McManus's raison d'etre. He might have hundreds and hundreds of horses in training and hundreds in fields around Ireland, but this is what it's all about for him. Doesn't matter what the race is, he just wants to be on that winner's podium. And AP McCoy, for him, it's all about numbers, but a festival winner is all the sweeter. And receiving his trophy there from representatives from the sponsors here, Brit Insurance.
In association with Coral, as serious about racing as you are.
This Sunday, Racing UK cameras will be at Carlisle. A 2 o'clock start through to 4:40. The big one is the Racing UK for £15 per month novice chase over 3 miles and half a furlong. That's at 3:05, and that is the card in its entirety this Sunday at Carlisle. Today's competition, courtesy of Coral, gives you the chance to win a £250 free bet tomorrow. To win, just answer the following question. Who was the last British trained horse to win the Tote Sport Gold Cup? Was it A, Take the Stand, B, Best Mate, or C, Kingscliff. To enter, email coral@racinguk.tv and include your answer name, address and telephone number. Please do so before 5 o'clock tonight so that we can announce the winner before 6 o'clock. More information on our website. Good luck. Good luck if you're getting involved with that particular competition. Now it is time for the big race of the festival, the Tote Sport Cheltenham Gold Cup. 3.25 miles is the trip, 18 runners. They'll have to jump 22 fences in total. The non-runner is 15 Racing Demon. Here's a full list of them then, runners and riders. Number 1 is B4 Salmon, Blinkered, Andrew McNamara. Number 2, Bob in Joe Tizard. 3, Kane Break, David Casey. 4, Exotic Dancer, Tony McCoy. 5, Forget the Past, and Barry Geraghty. 6, Halson Genelades, who wears blinkers for the first time, Robert Thornton. 7, Idle Talk, Jason Maguire. Number 8 is Cato Star and Ruby Walsh, the 11-8 favourite. Number 9, Kingscliff, Robert Walford. 10, Lammy, Mick Fitzgerald. 11, Marble Garden, who is blinkered and ridden by John Kington. 12, Munker Hostin, Richard Johnson. 13, My Will and Sam Thomas. 14 is Neptune Collonge, Liam Hurd. 15 is a non-runner. 16, State of Play, Paul Maloney. 17, Sibelius Darte, James Davis. 18, The Listener, Daryl Jacob. And 19 is Turpin Green. Blinkered, Tony Dobbin rides. Cato Star making his way into the paddock, and he's just going to have to bide his time a moment while a number of horses go past. They'll just wait for a suitable gap. He's just been saddled. He looks calm and relaxed, having a good look around him. He'll be seeing a massive crowd assembled around this parade ring. There he goes. He's made his way into the ring now. Calm, relaxed. He's not in a stew at all, just taking it all in. And he's 11-8. 9-2 Exotic Dancer. State of Play is 7-1. 14's My Will and The Listener, who got the go-ahead about an hour ago to run. B4 Salmon 16s. Lammy 16s. 20s Forget the Past. 25's Cane Break. Halson Genelades being supported. 25s from 33s. Munker Hostin 25s. Idle Talk 40s. Kingsley 40s. Turpin Green the same.
Well, Cato Star, he's achieved so much this season, the highest achieving staying chaser for a couple of decades, and he is the axis around which the 2007 Tote Sport Cheltenham Gold Cup revolves. In the paddock there, he's calm, relaxed, taking proceedings in his stride. He looks at least as well as he has done on any occasion I've seen him this season. He's never the sort of horse who has the wow factor when he's walking around a paddock. He's a good looker, but he's a sensible individual when he gets to the racecourse.
I thought he looked magnificent. He looks really calm and relaxed, and he looks in absolute peak condition.
Ruby Walsh getting the leg up from assistant trainer Dan Skelton. All the team ditch it on hand here to supervise this horse. This means an awful lot, and Paul Nicholls now will be doubtless feeling more than one or two butterflies. They've got 2 others in the race, of course, as well. Neptune Collonge and My Will, both of whom are very lively outsiders. Well, this is Cato Star's trial race for the Gold Cup, as if he needed to show us what ability he had, and it was his least emphatic and impressive performance of the season, but it did come off an extraordinarily slow pace, and AP McCoy, who was riding Lammy in the white cap behind, rode a masterful tactical piece.
He did, and you're quite right to emphasise the fact that it was a slow pace. I don't think they went quick enough for Cato Star to use his raking stride to just leave them for dead, and suddenly he found he had a task on his hand, and there is no doubt that he is hanging to his left. It's a trait that he has done in the past, and we get the now customary last fence disaster, or near disaster.
And he then has to battle, which he does, to his credit, and therefore I wouldn't worry too much if it came to a tussle up the hill. I think he will fight. What would worry me more was that a tendency to hang, which is obviously the sign that it's either something's pinching him somewhere, or that he's just got into the habit of doing it since he was a young horse and can't get out of it.
Indeed. And well, this is the King George. There he is again, highlighted. We've got Exotic Dancer, the forgotten, seemingly Munker Hostin further back, and emphasised his class and his great ability by laughing at his opponents up the home straight until, again, the last fence.
Exotic Dancer, the horse in second place here, has been brilliant this season as well. Second best horse in the race on this season's form. A clouted 2 out in the King George as well. Not quite perhaps as dramatically as Corto Star clouted the last, but it certainly cost him at least as much momentum. And today, Exotic Dancer looks quite tremendous in the paddock. For me, of the horses I've seen, he looks just about the pick.
I found it very difficult to find a negative, and I will certainly agree with that. He does look absolutely superb.
An Exotic Dancer bidding to give John Joe O'Neill a third winner of the meeting, and a quick follow-up for McCoy. And if he were to do this, it suddenly turns from a disaster to a great triumph. Cheltenham 2007. Runners in the parade ring now. Jockeys up. And you just see state of play walking through picture for Evan Williams. Let's have a look at him in action. Last time we saw him was a long time ago, before Christmas in the Hennessy Gold Cup, when he was a runaway winner. And after that race, Jonathon, I had him marked down as a likely Gold Cup horse because he travelled beautifully in a difficult position through a high-class, strongly run handicap chase. And for all the doubts about the strength of the form, he just wandered away with this with any amount in hand.
Yeah, you've got Juvenier in second, who was beaten in the last stride in the William Hill handicap on the first day of the festival. I mean, the case rests on just 2 runs. The demolition of a reasonable field at Aintree last April, off for 7 months, back first time out for this Hennessy. And Hennessy's, again, aren't usually won by having the first 3 or 4 completely spread out all the way up the run-in. He might have only done it off a marker 142, but he is clearly a much improved performer, and he looks really well as in addition to that.
And he would put a seal on what has been a banner season for his trainer, Evan Williams. Can the Gold Cup return to Wales for the first time since 1990, when it was won by a 100-to-1 shot, Cyril Griffiths Norton's coin? Let's have an update for this year's renewal with Angus.
I think State of Play's got a big chance, Nick. Cato Star 5-4 now. It's 5-1 Exotic Dancer, and he's a 6-1 shot on the exchanges at the moment. 7 State of Play, the Listener, 14-1. 16's B4 Salmon, 16's Lammy and My Will. Forget the past 20s, 25's Canebreak. Halson Geneladis has come in for a little bit of support, 25-1, but on the exchanges, a 29-1 shot right now. They'll parade shortly, and here's Nick to take you through it.
Parade then about to begin for the Totesport Cheltenham Gold Cup, and they will be headed by a horse who's been here 4 times before, Beef or Salmon. Blinkered this time, 10 times a Grade 1 winner, and he's flown over today rather than boated over, and who knows, poor traveller in the past, that might bring about the requisite improvement.
Hopefully. Bobbin, I think he's making up the numbers as 100-1 suggests. He's not in this class.
Number 3 is Canebreak, a bit of a dark horse, won the Big Powers Gold Cup in Ireland over Christmas, but he's got a little bit more on his plate here. He's cheap piece today, and you fancy he might want slightly softer ground, though he does look in great condition.
And Exotic Dancer, one of the leading players, loves it round here, vastly improved this season, and appeared to confirm that this trip was within his capability when winning here on Trials Day in January.
Forget the past? Well, it seems punters have done just that, because he ran a mighty race when third in this last year. The concern is the form of the Michael O'Brien yard, which is not sparkling.
And Halcon Generali won the Welsh National. Never went a yard behind Exotic Dancer here in January. Alan King's put on the headgear now. Can the genius work the miracle with this one?
A little bit of an outsider idle talk that's come for a bit of support this morning. First run for Donald McCain since leaving Tom George. He ran Stardom Mahazon close in a very good Sun Alliance last year. Back to that form, he's got an each way chance.
And the favourite, Corto Star, looks really well. The best horse in the race. Fell in the champion chase on his only visit here last year. And will he stay the 3 1/4 miles?
Severally during his career as Kingscliff headed anti-post market for this race. He didn't make it 2 years ago. He spat the dummy out last year, and he's done that a couple of times since. If he's on his best behaviour, he's still a huge talent, but you can't rely on that.
Long time since Lamy last won, well over 2 years, but he runs well in all the best races, and if you take it literally, he's only a neck to find with the favourite.
Well, Fergus Wilson has provided us with a little bit of fun this week, running his no-hopers in the championship races. Here's Marble Garden for Richard Chotard. Let's hope he keeps out of the way and gives John Kington a fun ride round.
And Munker Hostin, an absolute tribute to his trainer, always runs this race. Well beaten in the King George on Boxing Day, hasn't been seen since. Probably not good enough now.
Number 13 is My Will, has been backed at big odds by some good judges, looks in good form with himself, and narrowly failed to give Little Brick a lot of weight at Wincanton last time. That wasn't a bad run, and he's an each way shot.
And Neptune Collonge was in the process of running a really big race until falling in the Race Exotic Dancer one here in January. Unexposed over fences, probably wants the mud though.
State of play. Potential for some real star quality here. He showed it at Aintree last season. He showed it again in the Hennessy. He's lightly raced. He goes well fresh. He's a huge part of this contest for Evan Williams and Paul Maloney.
And Sibelius Starte, second outing of the week, and rather like his stable companion, let's hope he doesn't get in the way either.
18 is the Listener, first string for trainer Robert Allner, who's won the race before with Cool Dawn and went very close with Sir Rembrandt. 14-1 looks an insult because the ground is not that quick, and if he gets into a nice rhythm, he could be hard to pass.
And finally, Turfing Green slaughtered Exotic Dancer at Carlisle back in the autumn, but it didn't go at all well in the Hennessy, and they've now reached for the blinkers to see if this enigmatic performer can be induced to show exactly what he can do.
Parading then in front of this packed grandstand, there is the favourite, Corto Star. Everything rests on Ruby Walsh's shoulders.